spoilers for the movie Deadpool. That's right, I said spoilers. If you've not seen the movie, turn away. Go away now. Don't come back. Because we're going to spoil the crap out of this movie.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, yes, exactly. Without further ado. Kind of grown attached to that song, Team Headkick's Deadpool rap. It's been selling the top of the charts lately. Actually, that was the big news.
Here's the funny thing: that's the second version. They had a version that was just a fan song about the Deadpool video game.
Right.
So
so
they got to remake it and put it in the movie.
Right. Yeah. That was pretty awesome. I'm your host, Jeremy, from the East Coast Geek Podcast, and with me always, Opu, Mitch, from the East Coast Geek Podcast, and the guy to my right, your left, is Scott, my co-host on the Dark Zone Extraction Podcast. How's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good. I gotta go to work.
All right, well, we won't hold you back from that because, you got to make the money so you can go see Deadpool again.
That's right.
So you can give all your money to Deadpool.
Well, he deserves it after all the crap that they've gone through to make this movie.
Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
Here.
Excellent. You've seen the movie, 3 times, right? No,
yeah, I'm working on the 4th.
Oh, my God. I need to go see it again. Hopefully I can convince the wife to go see it. Really great love story, even though she doesn't like the love stories, so... But I'm sure she'll enjoy the action. It's not a ridiculously overbearing movie. I think she'd enjoy it. So,
hey, it's got shirtless Ryan Reynolds in it, and you get to see his butt,
and clothesless, and maybe some full frontal.
Yeah, just a hint of it. Just a taste for shot.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a tip.
So Ryan Reynolds playing Wade Wilson / Deadpool, and. What was her name? Vanessa was played by why is she not at the top of the list? This was interesting because I was looking through IMDb and Gina Carano's not at the top of the list, and she's in a good part of the movie. Vanessa was played by Morena Baccarin, and Ajax, the big bad guy, played by Ed Skrein, British actor. Very good
As
British actor.
As noted by the credits, the opening credits.
Yeah. Oh, did it say a British actor? Yeah, let's talk
English villain.
Oh, English villain. All right, so let's talk about the opening credits first. I really liked what they did with that. The whole scene, what it reminded me of was the end credits of Avengers: Age of Ultron, where they had the big statue and then they were going around and putting up the character and putting the actor's name next to that character on this big statue of them fighting all of the what do you call them?
The Ultron bodies.
Ultron bodies, yeah. And this was it didn't really put those characters on the screen, but it was going through this still shot of one scene that I thought was really neat that we got to see that unfold in the movie. That was really cool.
Yeah, the way they did the opening was so creative. They pretty much insulted everybody that was in the film. Ryan Reynolds they called God's perfect idiot. Then they had. But, yeah, the way they did this origin story, it made it fresh. We got to see some action, comedy at first. Then it went to, the first section of his origin. And then it flashed to the present. And then it flashed back. So it was a lot different than the normal paint by numbers where we meet the character. We find out their troubles. They get their powers. Then they try to work at being a hero. I found that so much more original, even though other movies have done stuff like that, but for a superhero film, it felt a lot better.
Right. Scott, what did you think?
I think that they did something different with what they had already. Like you were saying before, we have the flashbacks and stuff like that, but it wasn't how it was normally done. And, you had your little quips here and there, like during the fast forward back to where we were, you had the little cut scene that wasn't meant to be in there.
Right.
Everybody loves a unicorn.
Which was it was also like a call forward to a joke that hadn't even been set up yet.
Right.
I think so. It was absolutely brilliant. So it was just completely out of context. And then we saw the whole setup for that scene, which was hilarious. And you bring up a good point that we were rewinding and fast forwarding like we were watching a movie, which we were. So, and that kind of stuff works so well with Deadpool because he breaks the fourth wall so much. So they were able to play with the normal origin story by having him basically sit down and narrate it himself.
The opening scene, I think it was the opening scene, right? With him in the cab. Wasn't that the beginning? Or was it?
Yeah.
Right? And I have a sound clip for that.
Kind of lonesome back here.
A little help here.
Oh. Excuse me. Woo! Dopinder.
Pool. Dead.
Why the fancy red suit, Mr. Pool?
Oh, that's because it's Christmas Day, Dopinder. And I'm after someone on my naughty list.
The part when he says "excuse me," it's that low angle shot from his crotch looking up at him as he's crawling into the seat, which is one of those. He was saying "excuse me" to basically the camera at that point, like right off the bat. There's your fourth wall break right at the beginning.
Well, even before that, remember he found that gum on the roof of the car, the ceiling, and he flicked it, and it went onto the camera.
Oh, that's right.
He had to scratch it off.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat, and Dopinder was pretty awesome too. He had a great part towards the end.
Oh man,
which left us hanging. We never found out the end of his plot thread. So,
well,
I thought it was pretty final, maybe Final Destination-esque.
Yeah, like it was like a no ending almost, but or a foregone conclusion, you could say. But yeah.
Yeah, how do you think the guy in the trunk was? I mean,
it sounds like he kind of deserved it.
That other car was kind of far into that trunk.
Yeah. The things like one of my favorite things is when he forgot the giant bag of ammunition in the bag or in the car again.
Oh yeah, that he just could not remember, so he had to make do with what he had. And I loved when he was firing the bullets that they had the countdown on the shells themselves. Yeah. I thought that was pretty clever.
And then the end of that scene was this part here.
You're probably thinking this was a superhero movie, but that guy in the suit just turned that other guy into a fucking kebab. Surprise! This is a different kind of superhero story. To tell it right, we gotta take you back before I squeeze this ass into spandex.
And you can hear the spandex expanding as he's flexing. It was
right down Main Street.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was great. I was trying to figure out when he pulled the trigger on that guy. I didn't see the muzzle flash at first, right between his legs. just a nice drop shot without even looking. It was good. I mean, that's his skill though, right?
Yeah, he's a pretty good shot. What else was there about just the opening? His countdown was great. We got to see his healing factor in play pretty quickly when he got shot through the arm and he looked through the hole.
Yeah,
it was closing up while he was looking.
Yeah.
So it pretty much like told you everything you needed to know about the character before you even broke down his origin.
And then when he's going through that countdown, shooting those 3 bullets at Ajax and missing every time, he's like, "Bad Deadpool, bad Deadpool." Then he finally hits him. He's like, "Good Deadpool."
Good Deadpool.
It was great. The comedy was there, and him narrating his own story, within the confines of the character was really nice.
I think one of my favorite little details on that was when going through the opening credits and going through the slow-mo of the car flipping, he's giving that one guy on the motorcycle just a massive wedgie.
He's giving him a wedgie while he's also teabagging another guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was absolutely it was so him. You got to see the Hello Kitty chapstick, the Adventure Time watch.
Yes. That was so cool. He was looking for the timing.
All of that stuff, it was great. It's also like what he could afford, he can't go for the really high end fancy stuff. Of course, I guess he'd steal it too.
Yeah. What was it? He said, it was going through the names, and the first one was like starring, a sexy hero, and then it flashed over the People magazine of Ryan Reynolds, the sexiest man of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, it was God's Perfect Idiot.
There you go.
I think it was. Yeah, I love that a CGI character, a gratuitous cameo.
Oh my god! Well, you know what? Right at the end of that wrap up of the intro was that part with Colossus. What did you think of Colossus? Over the top?
No, You want to go ahead, Scott? I'll let you go first.
I thought that really for what Colossus is, it wasn't really that bad considering what they've done otherwise.
Yeah.
He fit the bill for what Colossus is to me. It's big metal guy who doesn't really get hurt too much.
Hard to kill.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny, in this joke movie, you had the most accurate portrayal of Colossus that we've seen so far. I mean, he was very kind-hearted. He was considerate of everybody, even a asshole like Deadpool, forgive my language. He had a poetic, artistic soul. Remember his big speech at the end? And he was such a gentleman. When
I don't know. He never got to finish it.
He never got to finish it, but he was building up to something great. So then they gave him the Russian accent, which I absolutely loved. Did that.
Isn't that like it was in the cartoons?
Yeah, he was Russian. He's Russian in the comics.
Oh, and then we just got that one super buff looking dude in the X-Men movies. So
yeah, and when he did talk, he had an American accent or whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of annoying. I'm a pretty big Colossus fan. I like to think I am.
Do you think he was too big?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. I was curious.
Colossus, in the comics, when he's just human, he's like 6'5". When he transforms, he gains almost another foot usually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the reason they made him CGI, was to show his massive proportions like they needed to.
I think I got a let's see.
And always so polite, even when Deadpool's breaking limbs trying to beat him.
Oh yeah, all the dinosaurs feared the mighty T-Rex.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. The great little side comments and even the comment about what was it when they went to the house to the school,
yeah.
And it's like these are the only ones that we could get on such short notice or something like that.
This mansion is just so big, it makes me wonder if anyone but you two live here. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford more X-Men. And here's the thing: Ryan Reynolds ad-libbed that line.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, he did really good. I'm sure a lot of the stuff that he did was pretty much ad-libbed or written pretty close to on the fly.
Yeah. Well, he's been passionate about the character for years. He's been pushing for this movie since 2005. And I find it funny that they, we talked about this before, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Before this movie, she had, one appearance in the comics. And she died in that one appearance. And and this is one of the slight deviations they had from the comics, is that her powers don't work like that. It's originally her place was going to be done by Cannonball. But they changed her out because they saw her name on a list of minor X-Men characters, and they said, "Oh, that name is so cool. We're going to have to use that."
Yeah,
let's trade names.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was funny, even for as much as she didn't talk. But
it was what she didn't say. She had this annoyed silence about all the weirdness around her. I mean, she's got this almost doting father figure handing her power bars that's made of metal, and you got this Wade being ridiculous. And I loved how he even called her out on it. Was like, he's like, "You've only got two responses: either sullen silence or a snarky quip. Which one's it's going to be?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "You kind of put me in a box here."
Yeah. So snarky quip it is. Yeah. She was great. I liked her interactions, and like at the end when she said, "Yeah, he's pretty cool," and then changed her mind after he said something stupid again.
Yeah, once he made another Voltron reference, it was like, coolness lost.
So the love affair between Deadpool and Francis that we got to see, and him hunting down Francis.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen this man?
As he's beating the crap out of the guys in the car, showing him a picture that he drew.
Yeah. And the guy's wearing a helmet. He's wearing a helmet in the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's go back to the origin story. Let's do that, because I mean, you go through the ups and downs of what he was doing originally, taking out some guy who was basically stalking this high school chick.
Which was actually it was an adaptation of a job Deadpool did in the comics. It was after he became Deadpool. But he broke into this rich guy's house, and he makes you think that his target is the rich asshole, but it's the pizza delivery guy.
Right.
Instead of stalking, he had called her something, and you never really find out what it is because it's blurred out.
Right.
But so yeah, and he ends up killing the guy. So, but it was amazing when that scene happened. I was like, oh my gosh, they actually, and it was like such a obscure reference because it led into like this bigger battle between Bullseye dressed as Hawkeye versus Deadpool. So it was like people wouldn't even have thought of it to use that scene.
Yeah,
and they did.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, he did kind of look like Bullseye with that big puffy jacket.
Yeah.
That part was neat. I thought it was neat with the whole whatever that organization was, the whole card thing they had going on. For those jobs. What was the name of the school?
In the comics, it was called Department H.
Okay.
They did it. They ran the Weapon Plus system. They worked on everybody from Captain America to Wolverine.
Right.
And in the comics, Deadpool was injected with Wolverine's genes, or a serum based off Wolverine's genes. And when it didn't really activate, he was sent to the workshop, which was basically a torture facility, trying to get their powers to work.
Right.
Instead, he just.
I was referring to the school that the bar was at.
The bad guy bar.
Yeah.
I think it was Hell House in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Something
and it was
like school for girls, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a school for girls that they.
Oh yeah. In the movie, yeah.
Yeah, he's like talking about it and like nonchalantly, like it was like Mother Mary's School for the Girls or something like that.
Yeah, I think they changed the name, but yeah, I mean it was funny and it makes sense. So
right,
it didn't matter.
T.J. Miller as Weasel was pretty good.
I thought he was great.
Hilarious, a great non-sidekick.
Yeah, I would go with you, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. And do I have anything? Oh yeah, there you go. When he sees Wade after his change for the first time.
You look like the inside of other people's assholes.
Along with what was the other one? Looked like Freddy Krueger had sex with a topographical map
of Utah.
Of Utah, that's what it was.
You look like an avocado who had sex with an older avocado, but like hate sex.
It was great. He had some good lines, and like I said, improv yet again. I'm sure. I can't wait to see the outtakes on the DVD. I'm sure there will be plenty.
Yeah, and that's what I found so refreshing about this is that the trailers, they showed different takes of the scenes. They didn't just constantly use the same scene over and over. It was different versions almost each time. So when you got into the movie, even the scenes you had seen from trailers or whatever in advertising, it was still relatively fresh to you because it was new lines and stuff. Like the this is the only catharsis the relationship had with the avocado line. That was new.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with like the test footage they put out, that scene had a lot different quips from Deadpool. Like he was making jokes the whole time in the test footage, whereas this time he was more after Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. He was still making jokes, but you're right. Like pulling up the picture of the drawing he did where he put the cigarette lighter into the guy's mouth. He said, "Now, I don't normally say this, but don't swallow." Stuff like that was absolutely perfect.
So let's hit on that really quick because that was something that I saw you post something about. Not somebody complaining that they didn't get warning that Deadpool was going to be that kind of movie. Some parent who took their kids in to see it, and I don't know what they were expecting.
Well, first of all, it's rated R. Pretty much every advertisement was saying this is a rated R film. This is not one you bring to your kids. Deadpool was posting all over Twitter. Basically the advertisement agency was saying this is not for kids. We cannot cut this down from a rated R to a PG-13 film.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people didn't get this. This was the same issue Watchmen had years ago. If you remember when that came out, they basically came out and said, "Do not bring children to this film. This is not a child's film. This has people in costumes in it, but they're not Spider-Man or Superman or even Batman."
Could it be because of the big blue penis that was walking around for half the movie?
the big blue penis, the opening where like you saw people getting slaughtered.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
all
was
that kind
very
of stuff.
graphic.
Language, violence, and people still brought their kids to it. I saw people bring their kids to it, and just how are you just so disattached with society that you don't realize that?
Yeah,
So-
you want your PG-13 version of Deadpool? Show them all the trailers.
Yeah,
Or send them to see the freaking Wolverine movie. There you go.
or
that was
no,
PG-13.
watch him on Spider-Man or what was that, Hulk versus? There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, in saying that, how tasteful do you think the F-bombs were? Do you think they were overused, or do you think it was the right amount? Because I mean, that's where that, between that and the sex scenes, that's where they got their
And
R
nudity.
rating and the nudity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's. Well,
Go
I was
on,
going to
Scott.
say that I was thinking the violence wasn't even really that bad overall.
Except
compared,
for that first scene was probably the worst. That opening scene, that fight scene.
Yeah,
That was
and
probably
cutting
the
off
worst.
his own hand.
Oh God.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, but
God.
it wasn't any worse than we'd seen in some other films, I think. But for F-bombs, well, I don't know. Deadpool is crude, so
Yeah.
me trying to say that it's tasteful
Well,
doesn't really matter.
I mean, it's not
I don't
like
know.
it's not like it was the Big Lebowski where there was F-bombs in every other scene.
Yeah,
Or
it didn't. It didn't seem like he was trying too hard to put him in there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get.
The dialogue felt organic to me, for the most part. So him saying the stuff, like when he got shot, yeah, he still feels pain, so it's going to hurt, and he's frustrated.
Oh my God.
He's only got so many bullets left. Yeah,
The great scene. Here, let me play this first.
I don't have time for your X-Men bullshit, Colossus.
Besides, nobody's getting hurt.
That guy was up there before we got here.
That guy was a mess on that sign when he hit it. By the way,
yes.
there you go. The scene after that when he gets handcuffed to Colossus, or right before that actually, when he starts trying to kick the crap out of Colossus and is like breaking his hands and his feet.
You know what they said about the one-legged guy in the ass-kicking contest?
Oh God.
And he starts bleeding everywhere, and he's like, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret."
Yeah, it's great. The little things here and there really made the movie feel awesome. And the
I'm
little
sorry
references.
for bleeding all over your garbage.
Oh my God! And his interactions with Blind Al were funny too.
Oh my goodness, I love those two. Real quick, I got to say
Okay.
this line because I loved it when Colossus handcuffs him.
Yeah,
And he goes, "We're going to we are taking you to Professor Xavier." And he goes, "McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are confusing."
yeah. That was a great. There's that fourth wall break again. They were thinking about it. Hindsight, they were all over the place. They were there constantly, and I guess coming out of it, I didn't really pay attention to it as much.
Yeah, because I think just going off a lot of the real world references he made, he mentioned Ryan Reynolds at one point, Liam Neeson, both Wolverine and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and the conversation, about who he had to blow to get the job.
Whose balls he had a finger?
Yeah, oh, that's
balls
what it
he-
was. That was what it was.
I
was
won't
great.
say names, but it rhymes with Pulverine.
Yeah,
Nice set. Oh, and yeah, he said, I loved how he even made fun of himself. Do you think Ryan Reynolds gets his, he's in acting because of his talent?
yeah. I'm trying to think. Was there a scene in there where he was throwing darts? Or was
That was when they were just at the bar, I think.
okay. I couldn't remember if there was anybody of note on the dartboard or not. Because I know they were doing I was watching one of the things on IMDb, one of the interview videos with him and T.J. Miller, and they were throwing darts at Wolverine's picture.
Oh, yeah, there was that. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there was anything like that in there because they were really beating up the rest of the X-Men.
Well, they
Yeah.
they had Easter eggs to his creators. I think he called one guy Leafield.
Oh, you know what? That was
he
what I
was
wanted to
welcome to the
mention.
bar.
I was talking about that with Greg the other day at work. I couldn't count on. I think probably I could count on one hand in the intro how many times Rob Liefeld's name was all over the intro, and I think he even made a comment towards that as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he made a comment towards it. I don't really focus on the guy too much because I don't know his art. I make fun of his art too much.
It's his feet. It's the feet. He can't draw feet.
Yes, he can't draw much. He doesn't understand basic anatomy. But what he can't draw, he draws really well.
Yeah, great.
He does pouches very well. He does not understand how a simple firearm works, though. Anyway, so past that, I'm pretty. Joe Kelly was mentioned as well. Gail Simone was mentioned towards the end of the film. Both of those were mentioned when Bob made an appearance.
Who was Bob?
Bob was his buddy that he knew from Jacksonville. In the comics, he's an agent of Hydra that he had kidnapped and made his pet / friend.
Okay.
But since legally they couldn't use Bob, Agent of Hydra, which is his full name,
Right.
So they just called him Bob, obviously, and just had him just some merc that he knew from the TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
I got you. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
See, to me, it felt kind of like a play on the whole Groundhog's Day meeting with the irritating guy from school. Phil, is that you?
Oh God, Ned Ryerson. Yeah, I know that one.
The thing is, with considering what we know from the sting at the end of the film being based off Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you could be very right that might have been a reference to Groundhog Day in a way.
Great.
Although obviously Bob was the one person he didn't kill, so obviously he must have liked him instead of just knocking him out with a headbutt, then asking him about his kids and his wife.
But he threw him in the pile of bodies, spelling out the word. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Now I remember who Bob is.
Yeah.
Now I remember. The creepy guy at the bar. The guy that he says this to.
I'd say that you sound like an infomercial, but not a good one, like Slap Chop. More shake weighty.
That was great. The guy that he so lovingly called later called Jared.
Yes.
Which had reference to pedophilia.
I think they actually came back and ADR'd that line because they finished filming the scene after the whole subway thing had broken out. So, because he had made all those jokes about a school being nearby, I think. I don't quite remember how it went, but yeah.
We are within 500 yards of a school, so you might want to get moving.
Oh, it was bad. Very bad. There was just yet another reference to the outside world. It was funny. And obviously easy to do at that point because he had fully completed his suit. Which was funny to see as he kept going through. And when he met Blind Al, she told him to use, what did she tell him to use? Seltzer water and lemon or whatever to get blood out.
And then she just says, "Why don't you just wear red, dumbass?" Or something like that.
She was abusive as all get out. Hilarious, though.
Yeah, they had
those IKEA, though.
Oh, my God. When she put that crap together and it just fell apart, it was hilarious.
And she was asking for a screwdriver or something, and he was like, "You haven't had a screw in years. You'd be surprised."
And then when he comes back after cutting his hand off, and he says that he wanted her to leave because he had to take care of himself with baby Deadpool hand.
And I bet it was going to feel huge. And that's when it cut to that scene that he accidentally fast forwarded to. He was preparing himself for that scene.
Right.
Just absolutely brilliant for that. But yeah, Blind Al was amazing. I loved her. I hope she comes back for the sequel. She was just so much fun.
Let's see. How about let's see. What's her name? Angel Dust.
Angel Dust. In the comics, she's a little different. She can only enhance her super strength temporarily because she can consciously boost her adrenaline, and she's never hit the levels that Colossus can hit. Which I would assume in this film he's probably around the 90-ton range. Currently, if he still has the power of the Juggernaut, then it's unlimited. But he's traditionally nowadays he's can lift about 100 tons. So that was extremely impressive on her behalf, being able to take him on.
In the movie when Ryan Reynolds was strapped to the table and Ajax left him, did he say the same line that he said in the commercial about leaving him with Jose Canseco?
No, he said less angry Rosie O'Donnell, I think.
Oh, that's what it was. and then when she made her big entrance, this is the last sound clip I have.
You gotta do a superhero landing. Wait for it. Woo! Superhero landing.
Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
Totally impractical. They all do it.
It's hilarious. I mean, the guys got it as far as what needs to be that wit and non-caring, really. Yeah. Doesn't really. Everything's a joke to him.
Well, you notice the one time he really lost his temper was when Francis Ajax threatened to sew his mouth shut.
Yeah. Oh God. And the comments about not making the suit green or
animated.
Which partially it was technically with his face.
Yeah, the face.
But that was really cool though. I thought the mask was done really well.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about Deadpool's mask in the comics is that you could see his mouth underneath it and his eyebrows and it moving. It's not like a smooth form fitting like Spider-Man's is or Black Panther's, although sometimes his is armored. So I always thought that was neat. And it transitioned extremely well. And back to the whole Deadpool not caring thing, it could be that now, well, he's crazy. He's now pretty much immortal. And he might, since he knows that he's in a movie, he probably knows that it's going to all work out for him.
Oh, God. Right. Yeah.
But he still did show concern, It didn't deviate too much. It didn't detract from his character too much that when he really needed to get things done, he actually would focus, at least as best as he could.
Yeah, like maximum effort.
Maximum effort. I was actually going to say
that. Yeah. For the past couple of days playing, ever since he's seen it, playing freaking Rainbow Six, that's what he says, maximum effort before every round.
It usually happens about the time I'm the last one left alive.
Yeah. So that last scene, right after the freighter collapsed and Vanessa they slid Vanessa out of the case or the container she was in, and Deadpool's sitting up there way back on a container clapping and applauding, saying how great that was. Just listen, she could have died. There's no way she could have actually lived through all those containers falling on top of that glass container.
Well, he has experience with that container, so he probably knows how durable it is. I mean,
yeah, I guess.
He caused an explosion within one, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but it blew out all the glass.
It blew out the glass, but the thing as a whole was still relatively intact.
Yeah.
And I guess he was just hoping that comic book logic would work, And then right after that, the beginning of the last fight scene with Ajax on the ground, in which after he was done applauding, he got tackled by Ajax as he jumped up and grabbed him. Oh yeah, that's right.
That was really neat. And then you get to that final fight and Ajax on the ground, and then Colossus jumps in with his speech.
Yeah, and that was one of the best things about this is that while Deadpool did have somewhat of a character arc, he didn't learn a lesson at the end. He still just went ahead and just shot Ajax because that's what he does.
Because Colossus kept talking, and he was getting bored. And the last time that Colossus did that, Ajax got away. Yeah, he's not letting that bastard get away this time.
Something I found interesting was that when they were walking up to the freighter that first time, Deadpool mentioned that Francis had given him 4 of his 5 worst moments, and then Colossus steps up with 4 or 5 moments.
Yeah, I do remember that. What? Yeah.
And here's another thing. They the freighter we keep referencing was actually supposed to be a helicarrier. If you look
really?
at it when it's panned back, you can almost see like where the turbines were.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a crashed helicarrier, which I thought was neat. Of course, they couldn't get the rights to say that it was a downed helicarrier, but
Right.
So all of this is taking effect after the whole X-Men movie arc.
Which one? I don't know where Deadpool sits. Oh, I don't know where
Because
Deadpool sits in it.
Because I was wondering, like, yes, we didn't get to see any of the other X-Men, but you were talking about still having the power of the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut had showed up in the X-Men movies, so
But that was in a different timeline now. Days of Future Past. That's where the Avoy and Stewart thing comes from, because there's two different timelines for the X-Men movies now.
Didn't the Juggernaut show up in X3?
Yeah, X3. That's before.
Yeah, but that's before
the Days of
Future
Future Past, which retcon. It basically got rid of all those other X-Men films.
Oh, okay.
Also, in the X-Men movies, Juggernaut does not have the power of the gem. He's just a mutant, so he can't.
Right.
His powers can't be transferred. So that's why Colossus wouldn't have Juggernaut's level of power.
Okay.
So I was reading today. There was mention of the new Wolverine movie getting an R rating possibly, but also X-Force. Is Deadpool involved in that at all?
Yes,
he is. Okay.
Well, there's several versions of X-Force. The one that Deadpool was involved in was one of the latest iterations where they were like the X-Men Black Ops.
Right.
The Deadpool Avengers.
The Deadpool.
They weren't the Deadpool Avengers. The Deadpool Corps or whatever it was.
Yeah, Deadpool Corps.
No, they were like funded by Archangel, Warren Worthington. He basically funded them. It was Wolverine, it was Warpath, it was X-23, it was Archangel, Phantom X, and then Deadpool joined. And one of the neat things about that comic is that while Deadpool is still his trickster, goofy person, he was trying to be a hero still, but he knew he was good at killing. That's why they got him. And when he quit the team, Wolverine was calling him out that all he ever cared about was money. And Archangel then chimed in. He's like, Deadpool actually never cashed any of the checks I gave him. He did it all for charity.
Great. So how accurate? I mean, Deadpool, I would assume, is pretty accurate as far as character depiction. How about the other ones?
I think.
Obviously, you said. Sorry, didn't mean
go
to cut
ahead.
you off. Obviously, you said Angel Dust didn't have that as much power as she did in the movie. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she's hilarious.
Her powers were totally different. Like I said, it was a carryover from Cannonball, who absorbs and redirects kinetic energy to make massive blasts and protect himself with a force field.
Right.
She had like telekinetic powers in the comics, but she only had one showing before she died, so there was no real. I mean, technically, she could, it could be like massive waves of telekinetic energy that she's releasing. Colossus, I think they hit him 100%. Like, he's probably the most truest, because we didn't see much of his backstory, but just, his personality wise, he's probably the most truest of the characters. Deadpool, aside from his origin being tweaked, I would say around 99%. Again, his personality is 100% dead on. Ajax, they probably got him at around 75% right, because he wasn't the scientist. It was Dr. Kilbur. He was just a muscle, like the security guard in the workshop. Weasel did not own the bar in the comics, but other than that, his personality is pretty spot on. He was kind of a side mercenary slash tech guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, around 50%. Like, overall, all the personalities were more or less perfect. Just their origins were tweaked. Blind Owl, she wasn't just a random old lady. I believe Blind Owl was actually some kind of ambassador that Deadpool was supposed to go kill. And because of a mix-up, he killed everybody but her. But basically, he kidnapped her and forced her to live with him as his Alfred/Robin. And they kind of hated each other. Like, they would always play pranks. Like, he would try to switch the salt and sugar on her when making coffee, but she had switched it already. He ended up still getting assault.
Great.
Yeah, there's 100 kilos of cocaine hidden in the house right next to the cure for blindness.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. But and also I believe she's white in the comics, but black here. But like that didn't really matter because it was her. You know,
Right.
It's absolutely great.
I liked her attitude too. She was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you know, she's
pulled
living
it
with
off
an
well.
immortal psychopath mercenary, and she just does not give a shit.
Want some Bactrin?
Oh my god. I'm trying to see if we missed anybody special. That really wasn't a big.
Then I will tell you, the guy that was strapped to the table with the red eye. That's a reference to a character that was called Worm. He was in the workshop with Deadpool as well, and the red eye was a reference to a cybernetic eye. And his death and Deadpool being killed is one of the things that triggered Wade Wilson's healing factor to activate in the comics. He was actually one of his good friends, and Deadpool was one that gave everybody the courage to stand up, kind of against Ajax, who everybody was terrified in the comics, but Wilson wasn't scared of him no matter what.
And I figured coming into it too. I was just looking through the cast. There's the arcade ticket taker. The part with the Voltron ring was pretty hilarious when he traded the tickets in for the Voltron ring.
That was absolutely great. That whole thing where I play with balls and stuff. You've got me for 48 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah.
Skee ball. Another thing we got to talk about, since we talked about the team head kick when you played the music, what about that roaring rampage of revenge that he went through after he got his powers and he was trying to track down Francis? You know, he went after Agent Smith. He fought those two women, and he got questioned himself. He's like, is it more sexist to hit you or to not hit you?
Yeah, that was funny, and they were like younger girls too.
Yeah, it was like they were teenagers or something. But the best is the Zamboni.
Oh my god, you're about to be killed by a Zamboni!
And
like 5 minutes.
You're gonna die in 5 minutes, yes. And the thing is, on his wall, the guy didn't even get a proper photo. It was a post-it note with a doodle called naming him Zamboni guy.
Yeah.
And I love they use this depth deception to make you think that Deadpool was right on top of him when he was so far back. That was one of the best scenes.
Yeah, that man, the Zamboni, that was great. And then the mess afterwards. Oh god. Or at least what you heard.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. It was gruesome. It was gruesome. Definitely not for children. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. For the origins and, you know, being spot on with the characters, I think Fox is really being pushed into doing better now after, you know, the origin stories and just all of the pressure on Marvel from the Avengers and that cast.
Well, and I mean, sorry, I'm going to cut in here really quick.
Go ahead.
They were given $58 million, and that was after a cut in the budget, right? Right, Mitch?
Yeah, they lost $7 million of their budget. So they had between 50 to 58 million to do this film.
They made
for the CGI
on $58 million. They made $260 million in the first weekend.
Right. I'm talking about more on getting the stories right. You know, going all the way back to the 3 X-Men movies. Just like there was so many things that were just kind of off regarding the comics and such.
There was a lot of things off of those, but they were like some of the first that were like kind of grounded, you know. So everybody just let them slide. I remember I was like, well, this is what we're going to have to accept. You know, this is what they're going to push on regular people.
So one of the other things is too, though, in saying that, in wanting to do this, Ryan Reynolds made sure that he was a producer so that he could avoid such screw-ups like turning him into Baraka from Mortal Kombat with no mouth.
Here's the crazy thing. You know, for all this time, Fox executives and others have been saying, "Oh, well, we can't do a goofy superhero. Nobody's going to like it. We can't have them in, you know, accurate costumes with their face concealed. Even look at movies with like Spider-Man and Captain America and Iron Man who have a mask on. They're constantly pulling the mask off so you can see the actor's face. This movie showed that, no, you don't have to do that. It's about the person inside acting, you know, that they can express through the costume. especially when you do stuff like animate the mask.
Oh yeah.
Fox has this massive issue. They can't see the forest because of the trees. They're thinking now, oh, now we need to make our movies rated R. That's what people want. So the next Wolverine film is going to be rated R, but they're basing it off a comic that they don't have the rights to the characters. They don't have the rights to Hawkeye or Spider-Man or Ultron or Red Skull or Captain America or Thor, Ant-Man or Black Widow or Kingpin. They don't have any of the rights to those characters. So basically, it's not going to be Old Man Logan. It's going to be just a old Wolverine movie, but they're making it rated R, and they think that's going to make it okay. No, they're missing all the other points that Deadpool had. Is that they had the accurate costumes, they had the accurate origins, they had the accurate personalities, they had great dialogue, they had interesting characters that had they had interesting story arcs. Yeah, there was a love story, but it wasn't forced in there or anything like that. So you don't have to have. They didn't necessarily have to have that.
And this comes not. Listen, 24 hours after James Gunn put out that statement about what Deadpool did right and how these movie studios are going to go wrong, within 24 hours, they announced that Wolverine 3 and X-Force were going to be like R-rated movies.
Yeah,
and
now we're getting into
Did you read that statement, Scott?
Yeah. Now we're getting into the area where you find something good and everybody jumps on the bandwagon and everything's going to be like that, and then it's going to have the shift back to PG-13 and watered down and such.
And it's not the point. It's the point is that Deadpool. This is what Deadpool is. This is not what the rest of the X-Men or anything like that is. I don't want to see Johnny Storm running around dropping F-bombs. I want to see a good Johnny Storm anyways, but I'm just saying that's the thing. Deadpool is this ball of hate. He's not a hero.
Yeah, this ball of wacky hate and frustration. But and any decent character, if they absolutely had to, would Deadpool have been as Deadpool-y if they made it PG-13? No, but I'm sure we still would have enjoyed it for the overall performances. But yeah, they don't understand what they have on their hands here. They really need somebody to sit down with them and explain to them what makes a film work, what makes it doesn't. When you're transitioning from the comics to the movies, is you don't have to worry about isolating anybody, because guess what? These comic book stories, they've been around 75 years. Some of these characters, they're going to identify with an audience if you write it well.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what makes a good X-Men movie? Anybody but Bryan Singer.
Ouch.
Yeah, right.
Tell that to the guy that made X3.
Who was that? That wasn't him? I thought he made all of them.
No, he made X1 and 2. He skipped 3. Then he came back for First Class, which I hated. They actually had kind of costumes in those, but I didn't like First Class.
Director was Brett Ratner. Okay.
There you go. Brett Ratner!
Right.
But, yeah, don't be afraid to stick them in the costumes. Don't be afraid to have ridiculous origins. James Gunn understands this too. He didn't even really have a love story in his. There was the kind of thing between him.
There was that fake thing between him and Gamora. That was it.
Yeah, where he was kind of trying to get to her pants, but then.
Yeah. Now, isn't there another big portion of that whole always face out of the mask thing with the actors and wanting the face time?
Okay, so that was one of the things I was going to mention too. After that James Gunn statement was. Greg had actually mentioned this too. He said Deadpool is a lot uglier than he was in that movie. And I think it was mainly because they wanted the people that don't really know Deadpool to be able to at least recognize Ryan Reynolds past the change.
Right. Well, there's a couple of reasons, I feel. One, it's Ryan Reynolds. It's really hard to make that guy ugly. He's very attractive, okay? I mean...
Man crush much?
Well, he's pretty. He's got those little soft eyes, the puppy dog eyes and stuff. But another thing is the budget, they could have CGI'd his head to look all warty and porous and with the random hair sticking out, but they didn't have the money for it. So that's another thing we got to consider is that they were working within their means of the mask. And then there's some of the things that Deadpool has looked like in the comics before, where he looks pretty much just like a skull with flesh on there and like a bulging eye and stuff. That just won't work. It really wouldn't work in a film. In fact, I wish I had pulled up that picture before of there's a fight scene between him and Colossus in the comics one time where he tries to headbutt Colossus.
Oh, God.
Which works as well as it did in the movie. And so he's bleeding through his mask, and he's trying to think of his options how to get out of Colossus's grip. So he rips his mask off and horrifies him with his face. Then he vomits blood on him.
Oh, God.
And that finally makes Colossus drop him.
Great. Self-defense through ugliness and crude freaking means of fighting.
It worked. I mean, it works sometimes. I guess when you look as bad as he does. But, there's limits. Even the CGI in a lot of parts didn't look that great because they didn't have a budget to work with. They did the best they could. Here, I know you can't pop this up on the call yet, or on the podcast, but here, I'll show it to you guys. It's on the Skype thing.
I guess the last thing we need to talk about before we wrap this up is, well, apparently a sequel, right?
Well, yeah. Did you? I'm assuming you guys all saw the Stinger with
Scott didn't.
You didn't see the Stinger?
No, but I can.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, I had places to be.
Oh, come on.
You guys are still here? What are you doing here? Go home. It's over. And then I was like, then he goes back, and then he comes back, and he's like, well, since you're here, and then he drops the huge, hey, we're gonna have Cable in the next movie, and the firestorm that's hit the internet since that's come out. There's been names have been tossed around for Cable.
A lot of names have been tossed around. We got Stephen Lang, we've got Kevin Nash, we've got Ron Perlman. There was a fourth guy that asked. Besides, we got Keira Knightley.
I saw the Keira Knightley thing. God, the last one that was in. Well, there was the one that somebody mentioned in our conversation would a good possibility would be like Chris Cooper, but I don't think Chris Cooper would be a good. I don't know that he would be a good pick. If you don't know who he is, Google him.
Knightley aside, pretty much every person we've picked, we just mentioned, already looks like Cable for the most part. Yeah. It's whether they can act, and another thing, whether they can.
Well, all of them can. I mean, Stephen Lang's, of Avatar fame and
the real hero of Avatar.
The real.
Kevin Nash. I've only seen him in two things. One was Super Shredder, and the other was the Russian.
Oh in Punisher.
Yeah, from the second. Yeah. So he didn't really talk in those. So I don't know how his real acting chops are. I mean, besides from his wrestling stuff, but that's not really.
But he looks pretty close to it.
He looks pretty close to it, and he's extremely tall because Cable is bigger and buffer than Deadpool.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And Ryan Reynolds is what, 6'1" or 6'2".
Yeah.
So he's not a short guy.
As far as Ron Perlman, I think he would really work out in the X-Men world, but I'm not sure about Cable.
Kevin Nash was in John Wick. How did I miss that? I'll have to look to see who he was. Oh, he played a guy named Francis. That's funny. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I would like to see Ron Perlman in the X-Men world or Marvel world, whichever. But I'm not sure if Cable is quite the right fit. I mean, yeah, he's got the looks, but I'm not sure about his acting for it. The way he acts is just it's a little different.
Well, and you got to think of who's going to be able to play basically a man god, right?
Right.
Well, there's several different versions of Cable they could use. If it's the initial Cable that we know when Deadpool first appeared, New Mutants '98,
right?
He was more of a gruff, worn-torn veteran.
Yeah.
So somebody like Perlman could play him. But if they go with the Cable in Deadpool, where he kind of has pushed back his using heavy weaponry and massive force to being more of a he's fulfilling his Messiah role, which he was in the comics. He was the Messiah against Apocalypse. He was the chosen one.
Okay.
And he resorted to more of his powers because his powers were at the point where he could mentally connect everybody on the planet in a telepathic blanket to make everybody feel good. He could hold a city in the air. He could redirect the missiles to explode in space. He could help somebody. He could stop carjackings telekinetically. He could help somebody with their tax returns at the same time across the country.
He's, for all intents and purposes, basically a Superman of the Marvel world.
Well,
to a certain extent.
It's to a certain extent. So I don't. Yeah, it just depends on which form of Cable they want to go with, or do they want to go with both? Where you see this transition from him being the extremely violent type to the Messiah, and since they're not using him in the Age of Apocalypse, which is a massive waste. But hey, we gotta have Mystique.
Yeah, the way that you were describing him, it seemed like he was a mix between Ultron and Apocalypse.
Well, he was the antithesis of Apocalypse. He was basically born by fate to fight and destroy Apocalypse, and he's done it several times. And he's just traveled. He's traveled so much. He's actually now older than his own father, Scott Summers. That's why the gray hair, the beard, the stuff. And he's also been more or less fatally infected with a techno-organic virus, the same thing that Apocalypse has. And in the comics, he couldn't use much of his powers, and he had to resort to weaponry because he spent all of his time holding that virus in place. He had to use his telekinesis at a molecular level or whatever to hold it back, just the one arm and kind of some of his neck, to using his telepathy to dull his own pain. So when he lost the virus for a while, his power skyrocketed, and he became the most powerful person on the planet. In fact, in the Cable and Deadpool comic, they had to call the Silver Surfer in to beat him, and he still managed to destroy the Surfer's board. Of course, then the Surfer showed him how useless that was by blowing him in half, recreating his board with a gesture of his hands, and then flying away.
So Cable would be a good, I guess, enemy for Deadpool, or even somebody eventually has to work with.
Well, that's the thing. They started off as enemies. Deadpool was initially hired to kill the New Mutants and Cable. He got defeated. Then, in the Cable and Deadpool series, of course, they had fought several times throughout the years. But then they were reunited in the Cable and Deadpool series, where they were both after the same virus.
Right.
Cable was getting it to further his own plans to unite the world, and Deadpool was getting it because he was paid to.
Right.
And they went from hating each other because they were dying in the first arc of the comic. They were dying and still at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And slowly they get forced to be together because they had gotten their it's convoluted kind of, but they got their DNA merged. So whenever Cable used his super fancy teleporting system, his body slide system, the system recognized both of them as Cable. So they would teleport together. If he did a body slide by one, it would merge them together, and they'd have to rip apart, and their healing factors would have to put them back together. So he had to do a body slide by two, and it'd put them right next to each other.
Great.
So that happened. So he was forced to have Deadpool tag along on his adventures, and then he realized, hey, Deadpool is extremely talented. He's insane, but he's very good at what he does. And so he basically tried to steer him to the right direction on being a hero and not just killing. Trying to get him to have a conscience about him, and it really worked out for both of them, and they eventually became friends. It was this really long bromance thing. It was great. There was even a line in there that you could have ripped from a love movie where, Deadpool, I think Cable says this. He says, for two people that say they don't need each other, we do a lot of stupid things to try to stay together.
So he's gonna be a good fit for the movie. That'll be neat to see what they do. I really want to see that one panel that you showed me one time of Deadpool giving this grand speech in front of a podium with lots of microphones, and then it flashes back to his reality, and he's laying in a hospital bed after giving this great press conference of how he did such a great thing and how he saved the world or whatever he did, and in reality he's all broken up and being healed.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of the bromances and whatnot, I really hope that they can do something between the Deadpool Spider-Man bromance, because he does so much with him.
Yeah, well, that's difficult because now
that's going to be tricky.
That's Sony.
Well, Sony and now Marvel's in it, but depending on how that deal pays off, maybe we can eventually get something. It would be great to see those two characters again. Yeah, in fact, in the Cable and Deadpool series, he actually had to fight Spider-Man one time, and you know what they were arguing over? Who had the better merchandise?
Great.
And Spider-Man was like, nobody idolizes you. Kids don't wear Spider-Man underoos. And he's like, hey, I had an action figure like twice. He's like, but on the other hand, I've killed a lot more people than you.
Oh, God.
And Spider-Man's like, that's a good thing? So, yeah, they're very great at snarking back and forth with each other.
Well, like you said, that was always the thing with Spider-Man is the quick wit, too. So
Watching them play off each other. And to get back to Cable we're going to need somebody that can, that's not like completely silent like Negasonic was, but we're going to need somebody with a dry sense of humor that, somebody that can handle that. Ron Perlman, I think he's used to being in ridiculous movies. Look at how he was in Pacific Rim in that outfit, and he played it completely
awesome.
straight.
Yeah, the black market guy.
Yeah, Stephen Lang, I think he's pretty good at doing that too. Like I said, I don't know about Kevin Nash's acting chops enough.
I remembered who he played in John Wick. Now he was a bouncer at the club.
Did he have actually any lines?
He actually spoke to John Wick, so
okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
so
he's a bouncer.
At this point, I've got faith in who they'll cast for Cable. We were worried with them pulling in Colossus, who doesn't have much history with Deadpool. We were worried when they pulled in Negasonic. We were worried about Ajax being merged with Killbrew, and everything worked out.
Yeah, they did a really good job putting everything together. And man, like I said, I want to go see it again. I can't wait for the Blu-ray copy for the outtakes and the cut scenes. There's got to be a bunch that they cut out. They said they cut out a ton that really didn't have much to do with what was going on. So I'd really, really like to see a director's cut. Really
that
bad.
should matter in a Deadpool movie.
I know, right?
Well, they've only got so much time. They got to keep the story moving along, unfortunately.
Listen, I'd sit there and watch a 3-hour Deadpool movie.
I would sit there and watch.
They had an hour and a half of hobbits walking in Lord of the Rings. Give me 3 hours of Deadpool.
Now, I will say this. During the Cable and Deadpool series, there were scenes, like several pages of him sitting there yelling at the TV while like maybe cleaning his weaponry and stuff. And so, I mean, I could just imagine that being an opening for the next film where he's just sitting around in his underwear screaming at the TV about like B. Arthur should be the sexiest woman alive. And if somebody calls him for a mission or like a merc job, he doesn't answer to him until he goes and gets his mask and puts it on. It says, "This is Deadpool." You guys got to read that series, man. It's absolutely great. So yeah, I could totally sit around and watch Ryan Reynolds in the costume just bullshit for another 2 hours. Or just look at all the Australian Day thing and the testicular cancer thing that he did. Those were absolutely amazing.
The marketing campaign was great. Yes. Just something else I remembered you mentioning, the storyline. Another reason why I would love to see Spider-Man and Deadpool get together. The Deadpool versus Carnage storyline. Yeah. I want to see that in a real life animation.
That would be funny.
Interesting. I don't know how that would work with animation. If they would do, what, it would be nice if they would do like a rated R cartoon show with Cable and Deadpool or just Deadpool. I've tried to watch Ultimate Spider-Man even with Deadpool in it. That's the episode Deadpool was in it. It's hard to watch for me because it's just not funny. And when you have one character that already breaks the fourth wall, and then you bring in this other character, it kind of makes it weird. It doesn't sync as well as having Deadpool breaking the fourth wall and everybody reacting to him like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, do like the old Spawn movie
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
or
Oh man,
one of the mini series.
The cartoon. It had 3 seasons on HBO. You're talking about that one, right?
Oh, it's been so long since I watched it. I couldn't remember if it was like 3 hour long segments or if it was like a whole series.
It was a whole series. I think it ended on a cliffhanger. But I think they were hour long episodes. I don't know, but they were. I don't remember. The only reason I remember is because I used to be when I was a kid. It'd come on, and I'd have to like sneak down and watch it
Yeah.
great.
because I wasn't supposed. I wasn't supposed to. But
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Do you have any last thoughts? What I mean, obviously, if people haven't seen it, go see it. If you're watching this,
if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, well, you're probably dumb.
It's too late now.
Right?
Yeah,
You can't turn back
it's-
now, but definitely still go see it because
Hey,
amazing
spoiler
movie.
warning.
Yeah. Oh, we got to put one at the end too, huh?
Yeah, spoiler
Just in
warning.
case people are fast forwarding through. Yeah. Any last comments? Any?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
It's a great movie. Keep going where you're going with the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It was incredible. I couldn't have been happier. So.
maybe if next time with the real budget, we'll see what they can do. I can't wait.
You know what?
can't-
And in saying that, I kind of hope they don't get too big of a budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 100 million. Seeing what they
Because-
could do, what they do with 50 million, 50-ish million.
Yeah.
I would just double it. And be like, hey, there, and just like you can slightly increase it each time because you don't want them to go too crazy and add too many characters. Cause
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't want another Avatar going on here.
Oh no.
You also don't want another Avengers or what I'm assuming Batman versus Superman is going to turn into is too many characters getting thrown into it.
I
The
don't know what they want from
they need-
that movie.
they need to keep
I would-
they need to keep it small. Do it the way it needs to be done. Tell the story. Don't
If
try
they're-
and put so many people on the screen.
If they're going to have a big budget, I would not mind a lot of cameos from people. And that being where a lot of the budget goes. Because, the comment about, I get it's like you're the only X-Men the studio could afford. Like, yeah, no, have like Professor Xavier rolling by in the background as they close the door or something. Just, anything.
Well, what about Wolverine tearing him to shreds in the opening sequence or something of the next movie?
Yeah.
That would be cool. Sheesh, I just had something for it. Oh, I hope they remember too, because remember this movie. It wasn't about saving the city. It wasn't about this attempt at world conquest. It was one guy really pissed off at this other guy, and the other guy kept rubbing salt into the wounds. But oh well, now I'm going to make you ugly because you won't shut up. Now I'm going to
I'm going to take your girl.
I'm going to take your girlfriend. Now I'm going to hold her for ransom. All this kind of stuff, and I hope it was just this massive, roaring rampage of revenge. And I hope they don't get away from what Deadpool is in spirit. Is he saved the day before, sometimes unintentional, sometimes not, but it's never on a extremely citywide or global scale. It's always small events that he does.
Right. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. We should get out of here and go do things, see the world, see Deadpool again.
Yes.
Twice.
I fourth that motion.
Oh my gosh. Even just talking about it makes me want to go back and see the things I missed. So.
Hey, there's still time to go to the theater.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be in there for quite a while to see what happened with it.
Well,
No, I meant tonight.
This is only,
Tonight, yeah.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. Well, this is only the the first week, so there's nowhere to go but up for them. So, but all right, hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna be back. Let's see, what's the next thing? The next thing will be
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Scott and I will be doing the Dark Zone Extraction podcast either tonight or tomorrow. We haven't talked about it completely yet. And then Mitch and I will be back on Friday to do our normal East Coast Geek podcast. You can send us emails and all that good stuff at ecgpodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us at ecgpodcast on Twitter. DZ Extraction at stasisgeek.com and at DZExtraction on Twitter for Scott and I. For Scott and Mitch, thanks for watching, and guys, thanks for participating, and let's get out of here.
Woohoo! Bye.
Bye.